Hey guys, welcome. Today I'm going to show you 10 assets that, in my opinion, every single Unity developer should have in their tool belt. These tools and assets are going to save you time, effort, and frustration. I went through Unity's entire list of assets that are on sale for 50% off or more, and these are my top 10 favorites in no particular order. Feel is one of those assets where it's hard to sum up what it is in just a single sentence, just because of how much stuff comes with it. But the main tool that you'll probably be wanting to use from this is feedbacks. This MMF player script will let you stack and trigger different feedback effects really easily. So what you're realistically going to be using this for is spawning things, playing sounds, tweening, transforms, UI toolkit, text, time, or post-processing effects, or many other things in a sequence where you can easily see how it all plays out at runtime. You can set loops. You can even pause it at certain places. It's the easiest way that I have found so far to set up a sequence of events in a really visual way to create really juicy moments in your game. Honestly though, for the price, I would say that even their optional supplemental tools are worth it even without the feedbacks. It comes with nice vibrations, which I just used in my game to implement gamepad rumble. It comes with a really robust sound system with full 3D spatial support, with built-in pooling, built-in audio mixer groups, fade in and out support, and quite a bit more. It comes with an audio analyzer if you want to synchronize anything with your game's soundtrack. It has a full progress bar component to set up really juicy progress bars very easily. It comes with a fully featured scene loading manager where you can tap into any one of these events if you need them. It comes with a state machine that you can easily tap into, a floating text manager, and really nice spring controls. They have over 20 different demo scenes to help you get started as quickly as possible as well, and right now this is 50% off. So first off, with Game Music Treasury, when you purchase Volume 1, you're going to get Volume 2 for free. So in total, this is over 550 tracks. I've used quite a lot from this pack in my projects. They're really well organized, and there's a good variety of live tracks, looping tracks, and different genres. And this pack's flash deal starts in 2 days once this video is live, which means for 24 hours, it's going to be 70% off. Then it's going to drop to 60% off for 24 hours, and then down to 50% off for the rest of the sale period. I really love this pack, and it is worth taking a moment to mark the date on your calendar for the sale. So again, May the 2nd, it's going to be 70% off. A few months ago, my wife and I released our first game on Steam, and I am really glad that I decided to use Easy Save with that project. The main time saver here is that it allows you to serialize things that you normally can't serialize, like game objects, prefab instances, scriptable objects, dictionaries, lists, and on and on. For things like game objects or scriptable objects, all you need is to add an Easy Save manager to your scene and then add those references to that manager. Once you do that, behind the scenes, it generates a unique ID for that object. It easily lets you encrypt your save files if you want. They have a cross-platform cloud functionality, which I've never used, but it sounds amazing. You can save, load, or modify CSV spreadsheets if you want. And I didn't even know this was a thing when I made my game, but it has customizable save slots that you can add just like this. This is hands down the best save system asset on the Unity Asset Store, and it is 50% off right now. vFolders is my favorite type of asset. It's lightweight, minimal, intuitive, and it just instantly makes your Unity experience better, and there's basically no learning involved at all. Enable their navigation bar, and now you can add bookmark folders here. It even remembers your navigation history so that you can go back or forward with these arrows. You can alt-click on a folder to color it or assign an icon to it. Or if you don't want to do that kind of work yourself, you can turn on automatic icons, and it's going to choose an icon for you based on the contents in the folder. 2-line names just makes everything easier to read. It gives you really handy keyboard shortcuts for expanding, collapsing, or isolating different folders. And it's got a lot of visual options to improve how the folder structure looks as well, my favorite of which is hierarchy lines. This asset is just going to save you navigation time in your project overall, and right now it is 50% off. So I have been interested in the shapes asset ever since I found out that it's what Sebastian Log uses for a lot of his visualizations.
I'm using a really nice asset called Shapes.
What Shapes is a vector graphics library for Unity. So it's going to allow you to very easily create 2D or 3D shapes and scale them up as high as you want, but they're always going to look crisp. Unity's default 2D shapes that you can put in your scene are just textures, which means if you scale them up too big, they're going to get very pixelated. That's not going to happen with Shapes. But it's a lot more than that because every single shape has a ridiculous amount of customization options. So you're going to quickly find with this asset that you can very easily create custom images and scale them up as large as you want without losing any quality. Shapes does not have any built-in animation tools, but you can animate any value using the Animator or your favorite tweening library. It's also almost all GPU based, so it's extremely performant. And this asset was made by the legendary developer Freya Holmer, so you know you're getting quality with this asset. And right now it is also 50% off. The further into developing your game you get, the more useful you're going to find Quantum Console. This is a QA tool that's going to massively help you with debugging and testing things. And it's also an easy way to give players cheat codes if you decide to keep it in your final build. So you're just going to drag the prefab into your scene. And then if you want a custom command, you're just going to create your method and then add the command attribute to it. That's the basics of it. So now when you play, you can open your console with the keyboard shortcut, tilde is the default, and enter your command. It actually comes preloaded with over 100 commands from the get-go, but you're going to get the best use out of it with your own custom commands. There's also a crazy amount of customization options so that you can get this thing to look and behave exactly as you want. This asset is an absolute game changer for testing and debugging, and right now it is 50% off. Advanced Scene Manager is a tool with a fairly self-explanatory name, I think. It's going to help you manage your scenes easily in a really nice visual way. You'll notice that under File, you'll now have this Scene Manager option. Open that up and create a new profile. Once you do that, you'll notice two default collections here. Startup Persistent, which is where you put all your scenes where you want them to remain persistent in, and Main Menu. I made a really ugly main menu scene here, so I'm just going to drag that in. I'll add a level 1 collection as well and put my level 1 scene in there. Now, to get these buttons to actually work, you can literally just drag your level 1 right to this slot and select Scene Collection.open. And for the quit, they have a helper button here, so you can just drag that over and they have all sorts of little helper functions that you'd want for any scene manager. I'm just going to select quit. Now I've got their default splash screen in here, but you can obviously change that to be whatever you want. And now to play them in their intended order, we press this play button here. You'll see a nice splash screen fade in, and it handles the fade to our main menu automatically. If we hit quit, then it's going to fade out and then quit. Or if we start the game, it automatically handles the loading bar and it'll fade to our level 1 scene. It handles adding scenes to your build list automatically. It handles loading screens, fading, additive scene management. It even actually lets you create a serialized reference to scenes in the inspector so you can just drag and drop them in. It has better callbacks to make it easy to only actually trigger gameplay once all of the scenes are fully loaded. It's got everything you need to manage your scenes much more easily. And the flash deal for this asset, meaning 70% off for 24 hours, starts in 2 days, so on May 1st. So I include Text Animator for Unity in almost every one of my asset videos just because it's my #1 favorite of all time. If you don't know what this asset is, it's going to bring your text to life by giving it personality. You add some rich text tags to your text and it animates just like that. There are loads of built-in animations to choose from, or you can make your own. And it also has built-in components for typing your text, either character by character or word by word, with plenty of callback options. So to use it, you're just going to add the text animator component for the animations and a typewriter component if you want to have your letters typed in. You can actually even stack multiple effects together for easy custom looking animations. What's really cool though is it also gives you the ability to perform events or actions at specific parts of your dialogue. For an event, you just add a switch statement to your onMessage method, which you subscribe to like this in your start or awake method. And then just like with any of the animations, you just add a rich text tag into your text where you want to call it. For an action, this is actually going to pause the text until the action is completed, which I used for a tutorial section in my game. If you have any dialogue at all in your game, then I would really highly recommend this asset. And right now it is 50% off. So you can never have enough music for games. So here is another music bundle. And this one is just ridiculous because it has thousands of tracks spread across 96 different themes. Now, I will be honest with this asset, the structure could use a little bit of work, but it's still well worth it. When you buy this one bundle, you're going to get the other 11 for free. So you do end up needing to download and import 12 different bundles, which on the one hand is a little bit tedious, but on the other hand, seeing $2,700 worth of assets in your cart for free is kind of the most incredible feeling ever. But the selection is great, the quality is great. You're going to see what I think is pretty standard with this type of asset, which is multiple variations of a song. You got long versions, short versions, loop versions, etc., etc. And in 1 week, so on May 7th, it's going to be part of the flash sale, which again means 70% off for 24 hours, then 60% off for 24 hours, and then 50% off for the remainder of the sale. So that will be the perfect time to pick up this pack of music. If you know anything about scriptable objects, then you know that they are scene independent, which means that they are global, and so you don't need scene specific instances. SOAP took this idea and turned it into a whole project architecture, so you don't need to rely on singletons or tightly coupled scripts. And here's a really simple example to highlight just how awesome this is. Your player taking damage. So the number here changes, the health bar changes, and we place some particles on our player. Now, in a normal architecture, all of these are now going to be required in order to actually damage the player. If we were to remove something like the health bar, we're going to get a null reference error because it's looking for the health bar, but it can't find it. With this though, it doesn't matter. I can disable this, it still works. I can actually literally just change this number myself in the inspector. Even with me just dragging it around, it's still playing damage particles, and when I increase it, it plays the heal particles. This all works through these scriptable events, which comes with these handy little raise buttons, by the way. Normally, my issue with this type of architecture is that it's hard to follow the trails of how everything is connected, but that all seems to be covered here too. We press play, you can see here's our on player damage scriptable event, and if we click it, there's the listener right there. We can click on it to see where it's attached, and we can manually raise it to see what it does, or we can just enable the debug.log and it'll show up in the console. The image is bound to the player's health scriptable variable using this built-in component here. This whole architecture does take a bit of getting used to. There is a learning curve, but this asset is a really great way to build cleaner games. And right now, this asset is 50% off. And that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will leave a link down below in the description for every single one of the assets that you saw in this video. See you next week, guys. Bye.